support the ministry, send in their money, write wonderful letters, but won't come to the church. And I'm speaking to you that are watching me, especially by television right now. I want to challenge you to this. A lot of you, see, the conditioning process in this nation has always made it possible for the black to receive from the white, because the white is superior and the black inferior. But it's difficult for the majority of whites to receive from a black, because what can a nigger tell me?
And you know, that attitude is still prevalent today. What he said that was over 30 years ago, it's still prevalent today. It still is. And it's an attitude that's been ingrained in our society. It's almost like it's subliminal. A subliminal type of attitude where white is right and black is wrong. It's subliminal in a way of, even with other blacks. I'll give you a quick scenario of this. Or at my job, I'm a team lead. And in my section, I have the outgoing material, rubber, being shipped to Michelin, and work with a lot of truck drivers. So when those who come in to my warehouse, say those who don't know where to go, the landscape, that kind of thing, if another white person, one of my coworkers, is in there, or rather those who work under me, they'll immediately go to the white person for whatever, information, instruction, whatever. And I've had some that will bypass me and they'll see a white person and see about that white person, when that white person will turn around and point in my direction that they need to come to me. And obviously I've had that done with white people, but even more surprisingly, black people have done that also.
The Knights of the KKK, Protestant Episcopal Church, not a deacon in the church, not an elder in the church, not a Sunday school teacher in the church, a bishop. That's the highest level ecclesiastically in the Protestant arena. When you get to be a bishop, you're supposed to know what you're talking about. There is a political side to the church as well as to the state, and it will not do for the colored man to touch either the religious or civil politics of the white man. See, I said it last time, I'll say it again. That's the reason why so many blacks have left so-called Christianity and Christian churches.
Too many black people have been believing this lie, and it's manifesting itself even more so today because we have a lot of this generation's blacks who don't want to try to learn history. They seem to want to bypass history. And you really get into the history will show that it is not the white man's religion, or you know what, I don't even want to say religion. It's not the white man's faith. Religion is man-made. Religion is of the devil, and I'll get into that situation. I'll get into that topic at another time. But from generation to generation, from decade to decade, we have been, again, using the word subliminal, we've been subliminally indoctrinated into believing that the Bible is all white, that Christianity is founded by white people or whatever. I mean, it's just, and please don't go into the direction of the King James. Again, that's another subject. But the overall thing is Christ. The overall thing is Christianity. And when you really go into the meat and potatoes of everything, Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden from Africa. So really, let's not get into this situation of semantics. Let's not get into really untruths. And that's what that is, untruths. And that's why I want to have to keep doing this repeatedly to put this message out here that Christianity is not a sole possession of the white man. It is not.
Because, see, this statement is saying this is a white man's religion. See, the white man himself says it's in the very fabric of the consciousness of this nation. Shouldn't touch it. Listen, therefore, African American, listen to this. Therefore, African American churchmen should not seek representation in the parochial, vestries, diocesan councils, or general conventions of the Anglo-American churchmen. That's another way of saying white. Africans have never been referred to as Anglo-Saxon. I mean, I knew you didn't know that side. The peace, the peace and goodwill among men of different races upon which so much depends, especially for the weaker race, render it absolutely necessary that colored men should not claim and exercise the rights of citizenship in the white man's country or of membership in our Anglo-American churches. End of quote. And you wonder why things are so screwed? See, I'm telling you, you can't believe stuff like this and not talk about it. You know, you can't believe stuff like this and not tell somebody else, see? You keep spreading it, and we see it manifested in the church. Let me read that again. The peace and goodwill among men of different races upon which so much depends, especially for the weaker race. Notice inferior, weaker, see, that's that superior mentality. And that's why it makes it hard for white people, the majority of them. Not everybody, didn't call anybody's name, and it's not everybody, and I know that, and I'm not saying that, so don't take it that way. But the majority.
I see it this way. We have a lot of Christians, and I'm saying that loosely right now. We have a lot who are, I put it as undercover. You put on the facade, you talk Christianity, you talk it, you walk it, all that stuff. But when the bottom line comes, are you really about it? Are you really about it? But you got to think of it this way. The word will find you out. The word will find you out. Sure enough.
They can't receive from a black man because he's inferior. Now, we can entertain you. Now, if I'm an entertainer and I sling snot and sweat all over this podium, they go for that.
Now, you can't tell me you have never witnessed that or you've never seen that. I'm talking about how you get some white people, when you're an athlete, entertainer, biggest fan of black people. You know what the best example I can give? And is from All in the Family. Famous episode when Sammy Davis Jr. was on there. And we all know how Carol O'Connor's, how his character Archie Bunker was, right? And in that episode, when Archie found out that Sammy Davis Jr. was coming over, he made all kinds of accommodations to graciously, accept him in. He even offered to let him sit in his prized chair that no one else can sit in. See, when you're an entertainer, you're famous. Oh, yeah, they'll let you be to a certain degree, but at the same time, there were still stipulations that were still in place, like what was her name? She played in the Gone with the Wind. And she won for Best Supporting Actress. First time a black woman or a black person had gained gained an Oscar, or was awarded an Oscar. And I recall hearing how Clark Gable tried to go to bat for her, but even his voice wasn't enough. And at the ceremonies, now, she won for Best Supporting Actress in Gone with the Wind. They had her to come through the back entrance. She got up on the podium, spoke, and then they had her to leave, and she could not sit at the same table with her Gone with the Wind stablemates, so to speak. She couldn't sit with them because they were white. She was black. The absurdity of that. But you're okay as long as you entertain. But if you're just a regular Joe Schmo, and even if you're not, you still are restricted in certain ways.
Get on down, Fred. Get on down. Oh, they like that. If I can give you a good show, they show up for that. Listen. Oh, my. The peace and goodwill among men of different races upon which so much depends, especially for the weaker race, render it absolutely necessary that the colored men should not claim and exercise the rights of citizenship in the white man's country. Or, now see, I wouldn't have a problem if I was reading from the first chapter of the book of the KKK. You know, I could expect that. Protestant Episcopal Church. Leader of the Protestant Episcopal Church. See, and if you're a bishop, as I said, you're at the highest echelon. You can't, if you're a part of a denominational situation, you can't spout off stuff like this and your denomination not know it and approve of it, or you're in trouble. You'd be called on the carpet by your denomination if you say things that go contrary to the beliefs and the protocols of the denomination. So if this man got away with not only saying it, but writing it in a book, see, I'm undoubtedly he said it before he ever wrote it, then he wrote it down in a book. Once you write something down on paper, it goes on forever. The beat goes on. Otherwise, his church would have censored him, and that book would have never been released. So he incriminates his whole denomination unless they put out a publication denying him. Are you hearing me? Yes. That colored men should not claim and exercise the rights of citizenship in the white man's country or of membership in our Anglo-American churches, end of quote. I would hope that you can see from thinking like this that there is legitimate room for the accusation of many, as I've already said, that Christianity is indeed the white man's religion. Bishop Brown states this so clearly that even a blind man can see it. When he says in the white man's country, and of membership in our Anglo-American churches. The question is, how many who profess to be Christians think this way today?
To answer that question, many. Many still think that way today. He asked that question in 1997. The same still applies in 2024. Many. You know why I say many? Because, again, we get a lot of people who front run, who put up a facade. But then when it comes down to raw facts on the matter, the tentacles, the horns, they come out, especially on social media. They come out. You start to see the real person or people. And it's kind of like social media is a hiding place. Social media is a place where real, raw emotions are felt. I had a friend on Facebook who threw out the question about reparations. Matter of fact, it showed Kamala Harris pictured with Al Sharpton, and she's supposed to be saying that she will vote for a bill for reparations. Now, my friend was basically saying there's no need for that. So I politely answered that, and saying that really I'm no fan of Sharpton or Harris, but we are still owed reparations. It was promised to the black man, and then it was rescinded because of hate, because of racism. The American Indian got some type of reparation. The Japanese, right after World War II, individually were given $20,000 apiece. This is fact. Other nationalities or groups have gotten reparations. But yet when it comes to us, we still get resistance even to this day. So yeah. A lot still needs to be done. People still need to be reminded. Yeah, we're far from it. It's just that things have been swept under the rug. It's just that we have a generation of people who are too lazy to know history. And then we have an undercurrent of people who still continue to rise up and show their horns and show their fangs when it comes to racism. Enough said.